Legends of Ren Zu, Chapter 3, Section 14. After Northern Abyss Ice Soul woke up his sister Ancient Moon Desolate Yin, the two of them again asked Cognition Gu for advice on how to save their father.
Humans, Cheng Bai Mountain has disappeared. Who knows when it will form again? I've run out of ways to bring your father back to life. But don't be discouraged, you can try to ask Wisdom Gu. After all, I am its mother. Wisdom is cognition crystallized.
The student had surpassed the master, even things that Cognition Gu did not know, Wisdom Gu might. Under Cognition Gu's directions, Northern Abyss Ice Soul and Ancient Moon Desolate Yin found Wisdom Gu. At first, it was hesitant to help. But seeing that they were sent there by its mother, Wisdom Gu reluctantly answered.
Oh humans, I can show you the right path. But I need something in return. One of you needs to hand over your middle age to me.
I will give you my middle age.
Ancient Moon Desolate Yin said without any hesitation. After her brother, Northern Abyss Ice Soul, used meaning go to wake her up, she was bestowed with the life meaning to bring back their father, Ren Zu. She had no intention of passing on this opportunity. Northern Abyss Ice Soul could not argue with her, so he could only let her offer her own middle age. This meant that once Ancient Moon Desolate Yin's youth had passed, she would skip directly into old age. But to save her father, such costs were trivial. Wisdom Gu took Ancient Moon Desolate Yin's middle age and said,
In the center of the Golden Desert, in the west, there is a still blue sea with no ripples, as flat as a mirror. That is the origin of all living beings. All life in the world originates from there. And in the depths of this blue sea lie many life goo that resemble all living things. You need to dive in, catch the human-shaped life goo, and bring it to shore. This human-shaped life goo can bestow a new life upon your father. But remember, you cannot spend more than 15 minutes in the blue sea, or you will be assimilated into it.
Wisdom Gu added one last sentence at the end.
It is extremely difficult to find human-shaped life goo. Only a person who has truly comprehended the truth of life can do it. If you are not able to do it, don't blame my solution for not being easy to use.
Ancient Moon Desolate Yin wanted to ask something, but Wisdom Gu quickly flew away and did not give them any chance to ask. They then traveled an arduous journey into the Golden Desert and arrived at the place where they could see the still blue sea. It was so much more beautiful than anything they could have imagined. Still as a mirror, just like Wisdom Gu said, not even the strongest winds could make it ripple. Surrounded by sand dunes, the land-bound sea looked like a stunning blue sapphire embroidered on a golden cloth. The two siblings dove into the depths of the blue sea. Sure enough, they found lots and lots of life goo of all sorts and varieties. These life goo were like blue gemstones, only different in sizes and shapes. Some looked like horses, tigers or leopards, others looked like eagles or doves, and even snakes and dragons. Ancient Moon Desolate Yin and Northern Abyss Ice Soul were stunned by the sight, seeing all kinds of life goo from flowers, to birds, to fishes, to insects, to beasts, to snowmen, to hairy men and all other variant humans. All but the human-shaped life goo. With no other choice, the two siblings could only get back to shore. As they leave the blue sea, the deer-shaped life goo that Northern Abyss Ice Soul was holding in his hands suddenly let out a soft light. It then jumped onto the golden sand, and turned into a live fawn. This was the birth of a life. Ancient Moon Desolate Yin and Northern Abyss Ice Soul looked at this sight in wonder, with their eyes wide open. Only when the fawn had hopped far away did Ancient Moon Desolate Yin suddenly comprehend it.
No wonder Wisdom Gu flew away immediately and did not let us ask it any questions. I have now understood the truth of life.
The truth of life? What exactly is it?
Northern Abyss Ice Soul asked. Ancient Moon Desolate Yin pointed at the still blue sea in front of them and answered his question with another question.
Tell me, if we were to really find a life goo, a human-shaped blue gem, and we bring it back, what would it turn into?
Northern Abyss Ice Soul thought for a moment and answered.
It should be like that fawn, and turn into a real living life form, right?
He suddenly looked like he had realized something. Ancient Moon Desolate Yin looked at him with a smile.
It seems you have also understood. We are these life forms. We were all once a life goo. We, ourselves, are the human-shaped blue gems.
Northern Abyss Ice Soul finally understood where humans came from. Wisdom Gu had already made it clear from earlier on. This blue sea is the origin of all living beings. All lives in the world originated from here. Humans, naturally, were no exception. Their father Ren Zu was once a life Gu gem in the depths of this blue sea. Somehow, it was able to come out and become alive, struggling day by day only to survive. But humans were the spirits of all living beings, so how many human-shaped gems could there be in such a vast sea? It was undoubtedly few, and very possibly their father Ren Zu was the only one. Searching for a small gem within the depths of the still blue sea, how big of a project must this be? This was uncountable times more difficult than her looking for the only success Gu on Cheng Bai Mountain.
I know a method, which can get us a human-shaped life Gu quickly.
Ancient Moon Desolate Yin suddenly said.
What's that?
Northern Abyss Ice Soul had a bad feeling.
That is... I will dive in and assimilate with this blue sea, turning myself back into a life Gu.
Although Ancient Moon Desolate Yin had turned into a monster, she was still intrinsically a human. The essence of her life had not changed. Since she was a human, once assimilated with the blue sea, she would form a human-shaped life Gu. This speculation was correct. No wonder Wisdom Gu said.
But remember, you cannot spend over 15 minutes in the blue sea, or you will be assimilated by it. If you are not able to do it, don't blame my solution for not being easy to use.
One could take away from this sentence that it was extremely likely there were no human-shaped blue gems in the blue sea. If the siblings were not willing to sacrifice themselves, they would not be able to get the human-shaped life Gu. As such, don't blame me, the Wisdom Gu, if you are not able to do it.
No, you can't sacrifice yourself like this, sister.
Northern Abyss Ice Soul immediately opposed. Despite wanting to bring his father back to life, he did not want to sacrifice his own sister.
I need to do it. The meaning of my life is to bring father back to life.
Ancient Moon Desolate Yin said tranquilly. Northern Abyss Ice Soul suddenly could not say anything. It was him who gave this meaning to Ancient Moon Desolate Yin, and now she was living for this purpose. In other words, if her father could not be brought back to life, there would be no meaning in her life. Then what would be the point to keep on living? If she sacrificed herself, then she could bring her father back to life. This was the meaning of Ancient Moon Desolate Yin's life.
Humans originally were gems of the world. Whether the gems are bright or not depends on us to polish. Every effort we make, every choice we take, are all polishing each of our gems. And humans can only obtain life by sacrificing life.
Ancient Moon Desolate Yin leisurely said before diving into the still blue sea. Northern Abyss Ice Soul tried his best to stop her, but was not able to, as his strength was no match to Ancient Moon Desolate Yin's, who had become an incredibly powerful monster. After 15-minute time, Ancient Moon Desolate Yin was assimilated into the blue sea and turned into a human-shaped blue gem. However, this gem was not whole but appeared badly damaged, only half the size of what it should be. This was because Ancient Moon Desolate Yin had given away her middle age to Wisdom Gu. Humans, in the process of understanding what life was, would often use up over half of their lives. Northern Abyss Ice Soul held the blue gem with tears in his eyes, and left the golden desert. He did not feel any happiness from success, but instead fell into the depth of extreme remorse. The way he saw it, it was him who had killed his sister. While you wait for the next episode of Legends of Ren Zu to drop, check out this video where I talk about all there is to know about Gu Masters, Aperture, Primeval Essence, Aptitude, and the 10 Extreme Physiques. This video has been made with much attention not to reveal any vital information from the book, so don't hesitate to give it a try if you have not been familiar with Reverend Insanity and want to become more so.